All right. Hello, Aries, and welcome to a brand new month. Are you all ready for all the energy coming through? Hopefully you are. Thank you for giving me some time to get all the messages channeled here. And I had some really interesting dream messages, particularly with nature. I saw a Ponderosa Pine in the dreams, which I'll be talking about. That's your nature totem today. And I also got particular markers in time. I think that there's going to be some really important shifts that are coming through for you over the course of the next 3 months or so. And definitely winter in particular is going to be very transitional. So, I always read a month ahead. It's kind of important to note that at least in the Northern Hemisphere here, the winter will be on, I think it's around the 22nd or so of December. So there should be some really important shifts starting to take place starting around that period. Even if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I'm just a reader in the Northern Hemisphere, so that time period should still hold true for you, which is showing that basically between, I think, like December and probably March. This is a time period where I see things kind of exiting out and then something really big coming in. But there is this sort of changing of the guard, which is going to be a key part of the reading today. So just a little preview of what's to come. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. That little furry guy in the background is Apollo. And what we're going to be looking at today is Aries, of course. We'll be looking at a reading for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And the predominant energy is that of transformation as I was tuning into it, and divine feminine as well. So stay tuned and I'll talk about all of that. Let me just quickly talk a little bit about how this is organized and then we'll get into the reading. I always like to start with channeled messages, which I've written down here in front of me. And the channeled messages come through as part of my dreams, meditation, and the act of automatic writing. And also the research that I do as I learn about a totem, I can see why it came through and I can decode it. And that's basically what I'm doing sometimes a couple minutes before I come live here. After we look at those channeled messages, we'll take a look at the Celtic Cross. And the Celtic Cross is an opportunity for spirit to kind of work through me, and we'll look at some additional sort of highlights and maybe challenges for you as well. That portion will take on whatever energy it wants to. So I don't theme it just your person or love or just career. It's whatever it needs to be. But then afterwards, I'll pull 4 cards in specific areas, including health, wealth, love, and destiny, so that we do highlight those areas that I know everybody cares about. That's the sort of first part of the reading. And then after that, we'll go a little bit deeper into some other areas. I like to look at blessings and blocks, whether I'm doing a weekly or a monthly. And these are things to embrace and possibly avoid. So that'll be the next section. Then I usually throw a live poll for you to decide on what you want me to look at. And I'll pull some questions that I have as a reader. And then sometimes I will read one of my favorite ones while I'm waiting for you to vote. And so we do a couple of interactive elements there. And then after that, we will focus on meditation, and I'll look at a final word or final card at the very end. And the final card is a chance for you to ask me a question silently, and I'll pull a card to sort of see what the energy around that question might be. All right. So that's the general layout of how this is organized. If you haven't listened to my reading yesterday, you should give it a listen. I did one on Halloween. We did messages from the departed, and it's also a nice transitional sort of reading. Today's reading is going to be focusing a lot more on changes and new beginnings. And I did get a little bit of ancestral energy as well. So we'll talk about that, which makes sense because we're right around the Day of the Dead and the veil is still pretty thin. So I think this will be an exciting time for you. Apollo's getting his bed set up in the background. So that's his little tail behind me. All right, so let's get started here. Maria Margarita will be helping out with helping out with the moderation today. So if you have any high-level questions, feel free to let her know. Another kind of programming note, I will be announcing all the dates for upcoming readings later today. I've already decided that this Friday I'm going to be doing the 300K celebration. So there's a poll on the community page right now to see what it is you want me to do. I think right now, probably do a combination special topic and Q&A. And the Q&A, I'll have members and Patreon supporters submit it in advance. So we'll be getting that organized this week. It'll be a busy week. Busy first week of November, right? Can't even believe that we're at November. This year has been kind of flying past. But indeed, we're here. So let's get into the messages right now. Wait, one last note I would like to say. If you miss anything here, I always post a sticky of all of these sort of cards in front of me on social media. So usually a day or two later, you can get all of that. And we just hit a milestone, so let's keep growing. If you like what you see here, hit subscribe and the thumbs up. Although I'm growing, when I looked at analytics, 70% of the people that tune into the channel don't subscribe. And I've actually gotten fewer people subscribing than usual. So I'd like to keep growing so that I can do more new content. So it costs nothing to hit subscribe, but it helps quite a bit and it helps more people discover what I'm doing. So enough with that. Let's get started. Your spirit totem today was a pine tree, but a very specific pine tree. The Ponderosa Pine came through, which is super tall. And it's an evergreen, which is one of my favorite symbols because it basically shows the sort of eternal or everlasting life that we're all connected to, the soul energy. And also, because here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're entering into winter, I think evergreens are a very hopeful symbol. It's not accidental that we're kind of using that for, Christmas. And a lot of times we have pine trees for, holiday celebrations because it is that combination of life. Even in the middle of the snow, there's something green, there's something beautiful. So let's talk about why and how it came through. So in my dreams, I was shown this gigantic Ponderosa pine, which it was kind of anthropomorphic, and so like it had human-like qualities, and it felt very maternal, like it was a mother figure looming over top of me. And she kind of reached out one of her branches and let me know. For her, it was sort of like an ending period. I saw sort of like there would be this tree going, another tree coming in, but it was sort of like passing on the torch. So for some of you, there's this wonderful connection to ancestral energy. You might be at a point in your life where you're thinking of like, what is my legacy? What can I give to the next generation? You might be being able to reap the rewards of the help that your parents or their parents' parents or the ancestors kind of lent to you. Ancestral energy can cut both ways. It can be beautiful and it can kind of lift you up. It can also be karmic and heavy and weight you down. So one of the things that will be coming through as we go into the next quarter of the year, irrespective of what season it is for you, is sorting out the ancestral energy. And I was very clearly shown that it was maternal, on the maternal side. Because the tree was maternal, I was shown a mother figure. It just felt like divine feminine energy. So that's going to play a very important role. The women in your lives, your mother or your partner's mother, maternal energy. That's basically what I was picking up on. More in just a moment on all of that. A couple of quick facts about the tree, because I like to understand what I'm looking at, and as far as the totems go. This tree can live quite a long time for a pine tree. It can live up to 600 years. So if you think an average lifetime is between like 70 to 80 years, we're looking at, 7, 8 human lifetimes that this would span, which is quite a long time, right? And it can also grow pretty tall, like 72 meters or 235 feet tall. So it's a decent sized tree. And the name itself was because it was so massive, Ponderosa. You don't want to underestimate your impact that you can have. And also, some of you may be trying to get yourself out of the shadow of someone else, whether it is a mother, a sister, an aunt, or someone in your life that seem to sort of be bigger than life. The message here is that you also have that because the tree was leaning in toward you, right? What you can do in this period of time, and again, today's a great day if you happen to be watching this live, but no matter what, this was still for the next quarter year, but especially if you tuned in on November 1st, connect to your ancestral history. Clear any of the karma that you pick up on there, and especially heal the energy between you and your parents, mothers especially, or aunts or grandmothers. This is skewing more towards divine feminine. Because once you're able to clear that energy out, you have this potential yourself to nurture, create, birth, and heal yourself as well. So you really want to be able to basically find your Empress energy this month, which is a strong leader that, again, does all of those things: nurtures, creates, births, inspires. Divine feminine energy is some of the best because it has the leadership plus the growth. Sometimes divine masculine is just sort of like action and showing, but it doesn't always have the nurturing energy that divine feminine does. So take care of yourself, take care of others, and see things grow. Even if people around you are not in that sort of energy, you're an evergreen. Or at least you're coming through this month, Aries, as an evergreen. So much like the name implies, there's life there when there isn't somewhere else. So you may be thriving, even if it doesn't feel like it's the right time to thrive. You may have guilt over that. You may be wondering if you can do it. The message here is that you can. So I just see growth, and the sooner you embrace it, the better, and the more you can kind of do with that. Okay. I feel like April and March we're looking way into the future here, but this is when I see the big rapid growth happening. But there has to be a major shift before then, a changing of the guard. So for some of you, this is that purposeful sort of separation or decision to sort of walk away from something. There could also be an unexpected or maybe untimely sort of falling away. So again, death can happen in different ways and it can mean different things. You could be losing someone, you could be walking away from something, you could be feeling like it's just time. Death, like it reversed in tarot, can be stagnation. So there's just this little bit of hesitation that I was picking up on when I was tuning into that message of, if I let go of this, what else will come? And what I saw here was a lot. A lot will happen in the future here, but there is this sort of release that needs to happen first to make room for the next phase of the journey. Okay. So the question here is, are you holding on to something, or is something holding on to you? And if so, is it something out of necessity rather than desire? So are you tied to a job, for instance, because of financial challenges, because of obligations for people that maybe you made a promise and you're just trying to fulfill it, but there's no sort of like emotional investment in something? I really want to help you free yourself from these either codependent bonds that might be existing, or perhaps just sort of like doing something out of contractual necessity. In the long run, there should be more joy in the path. So as you start a new year really soon, we're just a couple months away, as we start looking at 2022, the intention should be, how can I have less restrictions, more freedom, more autonomy, and more passion driving me, as I do these day-to-day journeys, these activities. So whether it's a work, a relationship, a job, whatever it is that you're kind of connected to, there should be this sort of sense of, I'm looking forward to doing this, or I'm making a difference, or people appreciate what I'm doing. Some sort of feedback where it feels positive to you. I think that's really going to be important as you start to navigate to 2022 and especially to 2023. So change can happen slowly in that respect. You don't have to just sort of rip off a Band-Aid and make all the changes happen at once. It's actually kind of irresponsible and can kind of, you don't have that sort of net underneath you. So put into, I guess, a planning phase over the next few months, how you're going to do it. What do you need financially? What do you need as far as external resources go? Do you need any buy-in or support from friends or family to make something happen? Getting all of these things lined up is going to make that transition more seamless, more enjoyable. Okay. As I was saying, breaking away from codependent ties is important. Pushing back if someone tries to tempt or entice you. I did see a little bit of an overprint as I looked at the tree of the devil energy. I was just shown like a goat symbol. I didn't really have a chance to go into the goat as a secondary message here, because it really wasn't the totem. It was just showing me a symbol for, maybe there may be a Capricorn for some of you coming in, and there actually may be an attachment here between like a contract that you shouldn't enter in. But I got more that this was like devil energy that you want to avoid. So saying that you're going to do something that you shouldn't do, over spreading your sort of energy and saying like, or over promising, I was trying to say, trying to put yourself in too many places at once. Just be honest and be discerning. I think discernment will be the key to navigating and avoiding a lot of these things. Okay. So as you look at contracts, as you look at agreements, as you look at what you want to do, make sure that there's a feeling of freedom, autonomy, and that you're on equal footing, which we'll get into in just a moment. Looking at a different aspect of this symbol, something that I didn't know until I was researching, because although ponderosas grow in the Western states, I think they're a little bit more common, more in the Pacific Northwest than here in Southern California, because the climate, at least here where I'm living, there's just not a lot of these trees. But apparently the bark smells like vanilla or butterscotch. And I think it's a reminder to sweeten up communication this month, to use diplomacy. To that matter, I would say tone, vocabulary, and timing are going to be really important. And I would even say like how you're using body language and any sort of visual aids to enhance your message. So even if you have really great information, research, data, or if you know you've done your homework, or if you know you're right, it makes an impact and it makes a difference to fine tune it to the person that you're speaking to and to also tune into where they're at. So start it off by saying hello, talking to them a little bit, listening a little bit. I talked in the collective about this. I think there's an important way that you can kind of gently get into the point without going straight into it at the beginning, because it's sort of like diving into a cold pool of water. It's just sort of like, it takes your breath away. So give people a chance to sort of acclimate to what it is that you need to say, and then you can push that in there. So yeah, sweeten the message, sweeten the approach. Diplomacy is really going to be important. The other thing is to find equal footing in any negotiation, any relationship, anything in general. The Ponderosa's name came about because it was so big, because it was so massive, because it's something to be reckoned with. And that means you have that same sort of large or imposing energy if you decide to lean into it. So find your assertive nature this month. And it's not just assertiveness for the sake of being so, not just sort of like being in someone's face. It's deciding that you really care about something, that you're kind and thoughtful about it, but you're not going to be a pushover. And you can use a really calm voice when you say, no, I'm actually really passionate about this. I'm not willing to kind of let go of this. We need to explore it a little bit more. You'll be surprised what happens when you put your foot down, especially if you're someone that normally is very much a peacekeeper. You'll say, this is something that I'm not willing to let go of, because there's a lot of things where I concede. I feel like I'd like to see you come halfway at the very least on this. So it's kind of like if you're negotiating a purchase on a house, or if you're trying to buy something on eBay or something like that, and they have that choice to make an offer. You have to sort of think it through. That person put something there, but you may look at all the other things and think, well, you're missing this, this, and this. I think this will be a little bit more fair, but actually give a fair offer. So that person might have to come back, or you might have to go a couple of times, but you should try to get their best offer, and you should try to give your best sort of offer as well. Don't settle for less, and don't overpay, and don't overreach, and don't overpromise. So it's finding that sort of negotiation point where it's a fair negotiation. And I think you can do it. So I'm usually, probably because I'm intuitive, but usually if I'm doing some sort of a bid on eBay, I'll kind of think it through. I'll pull out some cards too, and I'm like, yeah, this is the fair point. And I can usually get it done in one negotiation, because I can see through the illusion of the high price. I know what the low price would not be acceptable, and I can try to find something in the middle, and I usually go just a little above so that we don't have to go back and forth. So think about that in your head when you're doing it. You don't need cards, you just need your head and your heart. And think about, I know they care about this, I know I care about that, I can give a little bit here, I bet you they can give a little there. Let's try for that point. Find that sweet spot, use the sweet sort of diplomacy skills that I know you have, and I feel like you're going to be able to save a lot of time and surprise yourself and get a little more than you thought you could get out of a situation. Maybe that's a little bit more free time, more work-life balance. Okay, super important. Let's go into the next piece. So because of this shift that I'm seeing for you, I feel like there's a void. This could, for some of you, be a void in the family or in a workplace where there was a leader that was doing a lot, and now there's an absence of that because maybe they're traveling, maybe they left, they retired, maybe there was a death. There could have been any number of things, but there's an opening now, and people want to know what to do. So they're wondering from you, like, where do you stand? What do you want? And be very ready to do this. I've talked about this before in different signs, having an elevator pitch. So an opportunity, a window will be opening up for you. And don't feel bad if you were a second choice or an alternate, or kind of like, you weren't the top on the list. Somebody is not going to come through, and you will. And nobody's going to remember or care ever that you weren't the first choice for a particular position or role or whatever. I feel like what's important is that you know what you want when you get to that moment in time. So this can, again, factor into a lot of different things. I feel like it's probably something that's like involving, for some of you that are trying to get a house or property, trying to get a new job, or trying to negotiate a title or position. Patience will be key, and I see it happening within a quarter of a year, not immediately. I really see things opening up for all of you, opportunity-wise, around March and April, May, that kind of right as we're coming out of the winter season in the Northern Hemisphere and going into spring. That sort of shift is going to be important for you. And I feel like when someone says, what would it take for you to do this? Are you ready? Or what do you want? You should be ready for that. irrespective of all of that, and if we're just sort of looking at a bigger sort of life purpose, my question to you is really, what do you want? What are you looking for in this lifetime? I'm not talking about what your parents want. I don't care so much about what your family expects of you. I'm more curious, or your friends. This is more about sort of on a soul level. What is it that you really want to do? Is there something internally that you're yearning to see if you have the capacity to do it? So do you want to challenge yourself for something? Is there a legacy that you want to leave? Is there an impact that you want to have? There's no right or wrong in any of these. So some lifetimes it's all about like inner growth. It's a very hermit lifestyle. Some lifetimes it's all about external work, doing a lot for others, healing and helping, maybe like magician and high priestess energy, interacting with others. Sometimes it's about proving to yourself that you can achieve certain things. Like, if you're going to be a sports, fan, not a fan, but like an athlete, like a top performer, like at the Olympics or something, or like a CEO of a company. Sometimes we just have to prove to ourselves that we can do things. I only care what it is that you're trying to accomplish, because the sooner that you know that for the next month, for the next year, for this life in general, the more effective and more impactful you can be, the more assertive that you'll kind of come across when you say things, because you know that this is important, you know that you've done the work, and you're ready. So get yourself ready over the next 3 months here. I know we're going even past December, but the messaging and the symbology that was coming through was showing me 3 to 4 months, actually, where a lot of this will start to unfurl. Avoid retreading old ground. Remember why you left something, why someone left you, why enough was enough before. Because I saw a temptation or a second time around that was kind of coming for you to sort of consider, should I do this? Is this right? Etc. And sometimes we do it again out of necessity. So if you have to do something out of necessity because of money, because of just a dearth of options in your life right now, then think, what can I do? Do I need to expand my skill set? Do I need to grow my professional network? Do I need to save a little bit more money? What is it that's causing this connection to a person or to a place that may not be giving you what you need? Go to the source, start to change that. If you have to stick with that necessary, quote unquote, evil for a little bit, do it, but then try to get out of that situation as well. And that can sometimes take, a few weeks, a few months, a few years, but it should be within reach. It just requires an internal shift. Like, I'm ready and I'm not going to do this anymore. Fortunately, all of this came through with a prince or a knight. They showed me a prince, which in tarot would be a knight. So you have this chance to take action, but also to do the right thing, because I read knights in tarot with a little bit of something extra, which is I assume that they would live by a code of conduct, of being a sort of a leader, a role model. So I want you to shine a light on what matters the most. Use your voice, use your platform, and use this moment in time to sort of try to do the right thing. So at the end of our days, it's actually us. We look at our own lives in the life review with the help of a guide, with the help of the divine, but we're actually viewing and judging ourselves. So if you can go to sleep at night and feel good about what you're doing, you're sort of winning this particular experience in this lesson. You're passing it with flying colors. But if you're not, you don't want to, in your life review, think, I wish I could have done that, or I should have done this, or if I'd only tried this. So the could have, should have, would have, maybe, whatever, we're going to take all of that out, and you're going to use them as goals now. So do like a mini life review in this moment in time and think about what your regret would be and make it a goal. I've talked about this before. It's been a while since I've said that, though. If you were to think of something now that you have a regret over, flip it upside down and say, I'm going to make it a goal to change this. So if you said, like, maybe I wish I'd finished high school, then go back and get your GED. Make that your goal for the next year. If you wish that you could be more assertive in conversations, say, I'm going to practice my public speaking skills. I'm going to learn to find my voice. I'm going to trust that I have something to say and that people want to listen. There's so many different ways that this could come across, but take an insecurity or a fear or a doubt or a regret and work towards a goal then, and make this something that you're working on. Because then what have you done? You've taken the reins away from, or the chains away from the devil. You freed yourself and you're working on it. You've taken the power back, and you can be the Empress energy, which is what I was picking up on for today. Okay. Spirit showed me like an old-fashioned Polaroid picture. And I think what they want you to do, your guides, my guides, is to sort of record your journey. It could be literal, and maybe for those of you that are working on fitness or maybe home improvement, or maybe it's something where it's hard to see the progress unless you're taking pictures or recording it, do that. It could also be a little bit less literal, and it could be about writing things down or talking to someone, getting some perspective, and just looking at where you've come as well and seeing this journey in a bigger picture. Because when we're in the moment, we rarely see the progress, the growth, etc. But sometimes when you meet someone who hasn't seen you in a few years and they look at how you've changed inside and out, they'll be the ones often that hold up the mirror for you and say, look at how far you've come. Look at this. This is amazing. So if you do some snapshots, and maybe, now that a lot of us are working from home, or maybe if you've broken off and started to kind of have your own company or do your own thing, there's nobody there that gets to review you, right? And so you have to kind of review yourself. Look at your goals, celebrate your successes, and fix whatever it is that's causing the challenges or the losses in your life. Okay. So take some notes, record, take snapshots, and celebrate in the moment. Watch what you're saying and to whom you say things. What I basically saw in dreams and meditation was you complaining against someone, either on or off the record, and either an agent of that person or the person themselves listening. So what's good about all of this is it feels like you're kind of in a Six of Wands moment where there's a lot of eyes on you. So use it to your advantage. Say things that you want to get back to source, or not to source, but get back to the person that you're talking about. Positive feedback, for instance. Use a platform if you have it. And this is a time, if you have small business, even if you're just working on your own personal brand and you're trying to get a job, if you're trying to date someone and you're putting yourself on social dating apps, things like that, you want to look at social media, marketing, PR, outreach, and growth. It's a really good time for all of that. So we have the Six of Wands energy there. So if you're going to be seen and heard, then do something that is worthy of that and that is spreading positivity. If you try to get away with something, it's going to come back and bite you. So don't do that. I always like to try to find the positive in some of these energetic symbols, and that's the positive there. So just a couple highlights here, and then we're going to get into the reading, looking at the cards. The Ponderosa Pine was reminding you of your strength, of your power, of also your ability to rise above. It's one of those taller trees out there. It's evergreen, so you can continue to grow and to even flourish when other people are struggling. And if you've had a period where you haven't had enough resources, this is the turning point. We're also seeing here a period of time, 3 or 4 months, going through in the Northern Hemisphere, the winter season, and basically coming out in the spring being stronger, but shedding a little bit of the baggage that you were carrying. Since it is December, I can make an allusion soon to, well, it will be this reading anyway, to like one of my favorite, Ebenezer Scrooge, and basically Christmas Carol. But Marley had all of those chains behind him and came through for Scrooge to basically say, you don't need to carry this. You don't need to forge it. You can free yourself. So let's free ourselves of that sort of baggage. And I think that's a really key thing that the next few months will allow you to do. So finding your voice, finding your equal footing, stepping up into a leadership role and a visibility role, and really doing the right thing with this moment and the spotlight that you have. Those are the big ideas from that channel messages. If you just joined in, perfect timing. Thank you so much to all of you that I saw. We had a lot of new channel members yesterday. So if anyone's a new channel member, welcome. You'll be able to kind of interact with me on the upcoming Q&A. I'll make sure that I put something up there for members and patrons so that you can ask some questions. And to everybody that's kind enough to give back in SuperChat, I'll say thank you at the very end. I don't like to interrupt the flow right now, but I see you and I appreciate your help. In fact, today I decided to use one of the newer decks here that I purchased just a week or so ago. And I did find the box here because I wasn't able to give this to Maria before I started. So it's called the Field Tarot, and kind of has these cool pastel sort of abstract images on it, which we'll be looking at here in just a second. All right, so let's turn the camera down, get started. Again, welcome everybody. I know that this is always one of the, it's the first reading of the month, so some people are still getting into the swing of things. If you missed the October ones, they're all live right now on my channel. I'll post a link to all of the past and future readings later today on the community tab, but you can definitely check out that. Okay, so let's focus on Aries. You can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, or any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. And let's do this. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. Very appropriate because we were getting that Mother Earth energy through the Ponderosa, so that makes sense that nurturing came in and Gaia came in. Okay, let's take a look at all the messages, all the cards here. We'll start off with the catalyst. The catalyst is a way for you to overcome obstacles, stay in the highest sort of energy of a given month, and to thrive here. So we have mountains, and it says stand your ground. And I was talking a lot about equal footing when we were looking at your channeled messages. So I think this is really important here. What I like about this particular reflection that we see in the card is, you know, it almost reminds me of an iceberg, and even a mountain itself. We're only seeing the top portion, but there's a lot of sort of structure that goes beneath the ground that we're not even privy to seeing here. So you have that strong footing, and sometimes it takes the reflection, someone else holding the mirror up for you, or it takes that snapshot that I was talking about in the channel messages, that ability to sort of like take note, reflect, and understand what's coming through in order for you to really see and to celebrate the progress that you've made. So do focus on all of that. We have a really nice connection here between the 10 of Wands, which usually shows someone going up a mountain or a hill, and we have the mountain here as well. So the message when we're looking here, because this was in your crowning position, is don't give up. You're kind of like right up there. You're almost at the top of the mountain. So let's get to the top and let's go down to the other side. It'll be easier. So there's a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a push that's necessary first, but you're getting there. And that bird's eye perspective that you can achieve when you're at the top of the mountain is super important as well. So I think it depends on where you're at on your journey, but a lot of times it's better to, I used to hike a little bit more before I had like a sprained ankle and things like that, where I really don't want to chance fate anymore, or tempt fate. But when I used to hike more often, I would love to look back at how far I'd come and also look at the way the city looked different, particularly Los Angeles. It's kind of beautiful when you get and see it from afar. So look back, look at your path that you've come up, rather than looking at how far the hike might be, right? So this is why that sort of perspective energy was coming through when I was tuning into your channel messages. All right, let's take a look at your center card. And we have the 10 of Swords, but it is reversed. So you could ostensibly say that this particular message is about rising above and healing. And this particular card, I do like that we're not seeing the traditional sort of like pool of blood or anything like that. The swords here can often be of our own making or of other people's making, more symbolic. So there could be people in your life that have kind of tried to lay out this, like it's a bunch of eggshells or broken glass and you're kind of tiptoeing around it. So I think the important thing for you is to find a way to speak clearly, honestly, and to kind of cut through all of that. So we have the Prince here, which I was saying, or the Knight of Swords. So this is really making sure that you're leading by example, not by mimicking. And so rising above, taking action. And I do believe that some good news is en route to you. The important thing for you first is to take care of your healing, your internal healing. So for some of you, there could be some chronic pain or fatigue that is kind of something that you have to pay attention to first and foremost. The Ten of Swords can, of course, have to do with the back. And you basically had both of the cards here that would affect back. This can be about the load that you're carrying, and this can be the pain that it's causing. So this could be figurative. This could be just like a lot of pressure, a lot of emotional stress, and you need to find a way to decompress. This can also be for some of you upper or lower back problems, and you want to take care of that as well. The main thing for you is that if you are in an environment where there's negative communication or a lot of sort of just talking back and forth, this is where you're going to set a better example, right? I think that's really, really important here. The Prince of Swords comes through as, I'm sorry, I'm just going to move this bed behind me. The Prince of Swords comes through as a chance for you to really have a chance to also put into a plan or put into motion something that's a little bit better. So I think that sometimes if we don't take a moment to visualize, plan, and explore, then we don't really know what's possible. So I think that, and we are a little less effective at creating something, creating a trajectory in your life. So this is your chance to really put into motion something that you want to see. And that involves getting some pen and paper out and writing down some goals and planning and figuring out tactically how you want to do something. We have the Emperor, not the Emperor here. We have the King of Pentacles here. It looks like an Emperor card to me. And I like that he's holding in his hands kind of like the World card. So to me, this is taking what you would get from the Two of Wands, from planning, and from even the Knight of Wands here, which is talking about and sharing some of those ideas with others and now owning it. So some people may be coming to you and saying, like I said, what do you think? What are your ideas on this? The King of Pentacles is really good at being able to, here's the irony. I think a lot of you are really good at helping others. You have this innate ability to move people with the work that you do if you're an artist. You have a great job, you have a great ability, I should say, in being able to kind of like pick up the pieces, heal other people, even financially help them out, but sometimes you don't turn the lens back on yourself. So with the card being upright, this is your moment to really take all of that great nurturing energy and do something positive with it for your own well-being as well, okay? This could also be like the World, so it could be a bigger sort of question of how will this help others, which we talked about. So we have like paternal energy coming through here, but I would love you to nurture yourself as well to make sure that you have more abundance and you have more to give. So if you have more, then you can do more. And this is a great sort of example of all of that. If we look at this, some of you may be at a full stop. The Ten of Swords can indicate that someone has delivered news that isn't to your liking, a breakup, being made redundant, being fired, having to sort of, even like in a relationship, someone walking away. And so there's a healing portion that needs to happen first. I would say that's the most important thing, is to heal yourself. Ultimately, you're going to get there. And I actually see new things opening up when that thing that was blocking you potentially falls away. High Priestess is a very powerful card. She is sort of like a queen too. But the cool thing about her is that she's able to change, morph, see past. She's a visionary. So the most important thing that you can do is to go past the block, past the present, looking 1 to 2 steps beyond your current goal, because I talked about this sort of anticlimactic messaging here that we've seen with Mountains and Ten of Wands and completing things. So what's after this? What's next? Sometimes when you work, for those of you that are students, you know that whether you're in high school or higher education, you're often looking at the graduation point as the zenith. That's everything. It's actually just the Fool card. It's just a new beginning. And you're going to start the whole journey again. So the most important thing is, yes, of course, accomplishing that. But then what is it that you really want to do after that? Mid-career, mid-marriage, mid-whatever, midway in the journey, the same thing holds true. You've already sort of checked off a lot of boxes. And then there should still be new goals that you create. As long as you're living, there should always be something that you're looking forward to doing. We don't ever truly, quote unquote, retire. when you retire, you may stop your day job, but then you have other things that you want to explore. Oftentimes it's the hobbies that you never let yourself have time to do, but it could also be some bigger project or plan. So now is the time to start thinking, and now is the time to start planning, and now is the time to start manifesting all of that. This is a very capable manifester here, this particular King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles rules house and home. So for some of you, you may be looking at, should I sell? We talked a little bit about selling or pricing something. Remember what I was saying about not going to ridiculous heights. And also, if you're trying to buy something, finding that sweet spot. I feel like you're going to achieve it. The King of Pentacles rarely loses when he's upright like this. He's a very capable business person. And this also shows a completion of that goal. So in fact, if we turn the camera down a second, again, we see King of Pentacles, High Priestess, and 10 of Wands. So this is past, deep past, recent past, and really what we're starting to see happen. All of it's good. Although you might have had a setback or two, the Prince of Swords here, the Knight of Swords is starting to overcome that. He's finding a way to spin this in a positive way because everything else is really good, and we end with the Lovers. So you've got a little bit of a challenge to deal with, but you have a lot of positive growth. The delay is what's driving some of you crazy right now. We'll get into that in just a moment. So the next piece that I'm looking at here is the Three of Swords. So for some of you, there was something that went maybe just not the way you wanted. A negotiation, a conversation, or you feel like somehow you were wronged or misunderstood. The interesting thing with the Three of Swords is even within the Three of Swords, we can have a healing moment. So sometimes we need to know what we don't want in order to discover what it is that we truly want. It's just as valuable. It may not be the easier path, but sometimes it's even more important because it yields, it gives us a context to really understand the high points. So whether you're kind of like here or here, you're still heading towards, you know, that destination. You have to take the highs with the lows. And we see a couple of lower points, but I also see a ton of high points in this reading. So give yourself a chance to work through pain, loss, or disappointment. And the main thing for some of you is it's just a delay. I like how they call the Hanged Man in this particular deck perspective, because that's really what we're gaining from that. And if you go back to the traditional meaning or the traditional illustration where you really do see a hanged man, what you would be looking at is this symbol of someone that is gaining knowledge through a pause, through a necessary pause, because that's what happened with Odin when he was hanging from the tree of life, or knowledge rather, tree of knowledge, to basically gain information on the runes, the secret of the universe. So sometimes what we see as a block, what we see as a full stop, what we see as a delay is actually opening up a second chance for a new opportunity here. We have the Eight of Cups here, and the Eight of Cups reversed to me is a chance to go back and fix something, to make or break a cycle. And I guess the question for you is, where do you stand right now? Are you ready to embark on something new? Do you have those regrets that I was talking about? Is there something that you want to finish? Now's the time to finish it. It's a really good time. We're way out of retrograde. There's no excuse right now to not do something that you want to do. And in fact, as we start to close out this year, this is the time to put into, into action something that's really inspiring for you. We have the Seven of Pentacles right above this, which is slow and steady growth. It's also recovery. And as a resource card, I'll take it. It shows me that things are on the positive sort of incline here. And also the fact that we have the King of Pentacles in the deep past tells me a story of resourcefulness. He has this sort of magical touch where if he chooses to put energy into certain aspects of his life, he sees growth and he sees success. Queen and King of Pentacles equally as capable with that sort of nurturing energy. So right now you can see growth, you can see healing, you can see movement. This does carry with it a hidden sort of devil energy, however, the Seven of Pentacles, because there's, to me anyway, as I've seen it in my life and in readings, there's usually a test or a doubt that we experience as we're getting from the Seven of Pentacles to the Eight of Pentacles, kind of transitioning out of that. So sometimes there is this internal fear, this happened once before, whatever this could be, whether it was rejection, whether it was debt, whether it was sickness or illness or whatever, and you're worried that it will come back. Don't feed the fear, feed the progress instead. That's the important thing here. Feed the light, not the shadows, and you'll be fine, because ultimately these two are the same messages. Hanged Man is impatience, Seven of Pentacles is impatience, but the growth is there and you can see it. You just want to see it happen faster for some reason. So realize that quality is the most important. Sustainability, like, can I keep doing what I'm doing, or is this sort of a burnout path? All of these things are going to be really important. You end on probably one of the best possible cards for this Celtic Cross here, and that's the Lovers. The Lovers card was reversed. So for many of you, the universe is saying, we have a few options for you. Don't be afraid to be picky, to be discerning. Because if you settle, if you fear that this is it, then some of the bigger options won't come through. Whether or not you're looking for love, this is one of the highest sort of magnetic cards that you could get. So I would say for many of you, don't underestimate your ability to be someone that someone wants to be around. So that sweet butterscotch and vanilla scent that the Ponderosa has, it's almost like you have that sort of attractive scent or energy, and you're pulling in new opportunities. It could be a job, a relationship. There could just be people around you that suddenly are a lot more interested in your point of view, in your insights. So I like this. It could definitely mean new love as well. The reversal of this, though, shows that there could be some work internally on your confidence, also on kind of welcoming an unexpected blessing. So sometimes when something good happens and we didn't see it coming or we didn't expect it, there's that sort of doubt that will enter into your head, and you think, do I deserve this? Is this the right, is it really for me? And it is for you. You've set this up because you've taken this really impressive journey here as we're looking at all of this through a little bit of disappointment, understanding your power to manifest, letting go of something. Sometimes it's the pain, and then being at peace with how fast something's happening, because once you sort of release trying to control all of it, all of this wonderful stuff starts rushing in. So just sort of like allow positivity to flow through. Your mantra is, I'm open to love and prosperity in the highest forms. Open up to that growth and that light and that life that wants to come through. I feel like some great things are en route to you. Let's expand the forecast now, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny, and then we'll dig a little deeper after all of that. So looking at your health card, this is fantastic. So we have an ally in disguise, and it says, discover the hard to find blessing. So have you ever noticed, I know I have, sometimes when things are at their worst, you'll find a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, or a family member that just is a rock star. All of a sudden, you see someone in a different light. They become like a fast friend. Someone that you may have actually taken for granted before and thought, I don't know about that person. They're just like a gem, a golden person. And for some of you, the 10 of Swords and the 3 of Swords could open up this really deep connection to someone who just wants your life to be happier and to be a little bit better. So you may find through some disappointment a really good new friend. And that's a nice silver lining. This is the sort of stuff that lasts. Jobs come and go. Sometimes relationships come and go. Money can come and go. But a really true friend, they're like 1 in a million, right? Very hard to find. So I feel like many of you have this potential right now to deepen a relationship with somebody. That's why the Lovers came through. And this is change for the better, a healthier union, a healthier friendship. And for some of you, it could even just be the relationship with you. So if you had a really challenging partnership with a partner or a boss or anyone in your life, and that person's exited now, the healing begins. You get to like you. And when you start to like yourself, then you start to find other people that are interested, that come out of the shadows that you didn't even expect. So I see incoming love, incoming friendship for sure, but the healing has to happen first, okay? I really like that. Let's look at it from more of a body perspective here. Sorry, does anyone else have a dog that throws the toys all over the place in the background? I just want to make sure that as I'm moving this, that you're looking at stuff in frame, that we clean up Apollo's toys. All right. He's a good boy. That's why I give him all the toys. But as I'm looking in the camera, I'm like, oh my God, his toys are everywhere. All right, let's look at the health stuff. All right, so looking at health. As I mentioned earlier, back comes through loud and clear, particularly with the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands. So I really want you to pay attention to spinal health. Now, for those of you that have never had like acupuncture before or massage therapy before, I think that this is a really good time to explore other ways to heal yourself. Obviously, you should work with your doctor, physician, etc., before you make any changes. But looking at different things rather than maybe just going straight to painkillers and things like that. See if getting some work done on your body can help. And they're very different. Like one is going to work with muscles and bones, and the other one's going to work through pressure points and energy points. When you find acupuncturist, see if you can get someone that also is intuitive or truly understands like the energy points. Because I've had acupuncture done before where it's more technical, and another time where the person, every point that they put in, it felt like I knew they were a healer. And I said, how did you, and they explained it too, but I said, you're also a healer, aren't you? So if you can find someone that heals and works with that, whether it's Reiki or acupuncture, you're really going to notice a difference. So do something kind for your body and reset that, because just like the Ponderosa, we need to have a really nice, strong spine this month. Okay. The other thing that is coming through is heart health. So for some of you, maybe you just haven't had a chance to exercise as much. Maybe you're like me and I was recovering from a foot fracture. And so for some of you, you may not be able to kind of have as much cardio. And so whatever it is that you're dealing with, make sure that you have a little bit more time to take care of your heart. So that involves both diet and exercise. It's not a singular sort of thing. So do what you need. This can also be healing in your life. So if you are suffering from the recent loss of someone or something in your life, grieving is important. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You don't have to do it alone. So for those of you that are feeling like a lot of pressure, talk to somebody. Whether it's a friend or a professional, it doesn't matter. Just that act of talking is going to be really important. The heart chakra needs some healing. So you can sort out how and why and where you want to work on that, but that's important. The Hanged Man, again, this can be like ankles or, it's usually like ankles and feet. It's below the knee. So for some of you, I just want you to be careful where you're walking. And if you have any old injuries, like I've had, you just want to make sure that if there's a weakened point that it's being taken care of. Okay. And mostly that's it. The Seven of Pentacles is a very auspicious card to come through with all of those sort of health issues because it shows growth. Slower than you think, but again, you'll get there. So patience is key. You don't want to rush recovery. Those are your health messages. Let's take a look now at wealth. Wealth, depending on your career point, can mean different things. For those of you that are in like high school or college, this will be more about where you're headed and how you feel about yourself, self-worth. For those of you in the middle of your career, it might be more environmental, like what's going on. And if you're post-career and retired, this is life purpose. No matter what it is, we're going back to a central theme here, and it's nurturing. So I mentioned divine feminine. You can't get more divine feminine than Gaia. That's the planet that we're on. That's Earth. And she showed herself as a Ponderosa, but that's basically what I was connecting with was Gaia energy. So you want to ground yourself and nurture yourself. I talked about that just in the health piece, but if you're not getting that support in what you're doing for your studies, for work, or for activities, again, whether you're a student or mid-career or retired, then it's going to be really important to feel that sense that you are supported. Whether you're supporting yourself or you're finding external support, that's up to you. But you should be doing something for fun and for enrichment this month, I would say. And the enrichment doesn't necessarily have to solely go back into, money, work, etc. It doesn't have to have a practical application. When we nurture ourselves, we're just happier and better, and we kind of glow, right? So I want you to have that glow. I think that's going to be really important. Some of you may decide to do something about the environment. I was listening to the news over the past couple of days, and we're having a lot of meetings across the world right now because we're at a pivotal point where if we don't fix it, it's going to be a mess. And here's the interesting thing. I think that we would treat this planet differently if we understood that reincarnation is real. Something that I've seen because of past life flashbacks. I used to think it was just sort of like, out there until I started to wake up intuitively, and I had all of these flashbacks, and I thought, okay, the rabbit hole goes pretty deep, and there's no surprise now that a lot of Eastern cultures believe in that because they've been around longer than some of the Western cultures. And anyway, if you knew that you were coming back to this planet time and again and again and again, why would you want to mess up your front yard, your backyard, and the planet itself? We want to keep a nice place. So maybe there's something that you can do to make the world a better place, or if we kind of take it more on a macro level, something smaller, maybe you just want to improve the environment. So if there is low morale in your relationship, family, or at work, what can you do to improve the morale? The most important thing that I'm picking up on the cards here is to really own this potential that we see here with the King of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles it's not even close to touching the potential there. So I think you are at just the tip of the iceberg. I want to see the sort of all of that sort of depth that we're seeing here in this particular card with the mountain. So I feel like you have a lot of potential, and you're just starting to realize the power that you have, the potential that you have. So nurture that, grow in that, and more. Pretty soon you have the world in your own hands here, right? So that's what the Two of Wands starts to realize, is the ability to manifest and connect. For those of you that are trying to overcome or navigate through debt, the Seven of Pentacles is a positive card, particularly when it's upright. Slow and steady progress across the board, okay? So I like that I see movement, but I want to see more of this for you. So don't sell yourself short. I think that would be the key thing in negotiations, okay? Let's take a look at relationships now. I feel like I've been talking about rainbows forever. It keeps coming up in readings here. So we have rainbow waterfall, and it says miracles. The card was reversed. This is just beautiful energy through this. So we have a couple of butterflies, one here, one here. We have the falls here, which is showing movement that is almost unavoidable. And after you go through that sort of movement, we have the rainbow. So when we're looking at love now, I feel like the most important thing is the next, like, there comes a point where for some of you, where is it going? Are you gonna, if you're dating someone and it's getting serious, there's this turning point. You're either in or you're out. So I feel like some of you are kind of at that ultimatum point. If you are also kind of thinking of how to support your partner or yourself, one or both of you may need to make a move. So there could be sort of a transfer that's necessary across country or to another country. And so it's sort of this decision of, are we going to do this together? Do I want to make a sacrifice for your well-being? Will you make a sacrifice for mine? There's a big turning point for those of you that are in a relationship. I'll be looking at looking for love and not looking for love in just a second. But for those of you in a relationship, I think the most important thing is to try not to argue about these things. Communication could be improved. You may have to cut through some of that nonsense and just say, I hear what you're saying, but this isn't productive, or let's regroup. But you don't want to be dismissive. It's going to be challenging. So for some of you, arguing could put things in a sort of like negative trajectory. The good news here is that we see a disappointment, but then we see the lovers coming back. Not only that, but we actually have the card of makeups. So there could be a breakup and a makeup. And it's a choice that you get to make. I had the Eight of Cups, and if you remember in my channeled messages, I specifically said, just because you can go back doesn't mean you should. I get that message from time to time. And I think what I said here was, remember why you left. Yeah, here it is. Avoid retreading old ground. Remember why you walked away or moved on, or vice versa. So for some of you, you get that second chance, but you don't have to go back if you don't want to. So there is a choice, and there could be a really positive outcome. But if and only if it feels like this is different, that the person changed. For those of you where there's no sort of like, arguing or whatever, what I am seeing here is focusing on health. There could be some health issues popping up. There could be some emotional stuff that you need to deal with. Ultimately, recovery is there, and you can lean on your partner for something like that. There's a little bit of work to do in existing relationships, but I feel good about it. I do think one partner is thriving and the other one might be dragging a little bit behind because of the Hangman. So it's just a question of how to navigate different points in your collective trajectories. All right, if you are looking for love this month, some of you might have to move first. So we see a necessary move or something that's happening, that whatever you've started, you need to finish that first to kind of clear up your headspace. Some of you may be a little bit reluctant to make the first move. The fact that I saw a prince or a knight coming through for you, though, shows that the other person's kind of waiting or expecting or hoping that you might make that first move. So don't be afraid. Traveling is good as well. This might actually bring you the perspective that you're looking for. Cleaning up your finances is a very attractive thing. So if you're trying to bring someone into your life, think about the kind of person that you'd want to be with. You would like to be with someone probably that is emotionally, health-wise, and also financially speaking, fit and healthy and in a good space. So work on that. Work on mind, body, spirit, and finances, because finances came through and they're important, because that can either lift you up or weigh you down. And then ultimately, I see love coming in for many of you that are looking. The energy around that actually is very earthy. And for some of you, this earth sign is connected to someone who you already know. A lot of times I'll get a question, is this someone that I know? It's either someone that you know or connected to someone that you know. So get to know their financial situation, though, because the Seven of Pentacles, if it's not you, make sure that they're okay. And just make sure that you're both fully healed, because there might be just licking a little bit of the wounds right before you get into this. It could be a rebound, because in fact, this reads very much rebound. So this is sort of like pain and this is moving on, but it's real fast. And so just make sure that you've done the necessary healing first. For those of you that are single, happy, or just disinterested in dating in general, the Lover's card takes on a different connotation for you. It's the magnet. The magnet is around money for you and opportunities and resources. You can actually create a lot more than you have before. The interesting thing with this is if we were to kind of, there it is, pull it straight. These are all your chakra systems, right? So work on balancing out yourself. Like I said, that's going to be the most attractive thing. And that's actually going to bring you into a stronger energetic frequency. So work on all of that. That's going to be key. Grounding, of course, is the key thing, because here in the deep past, we actually have the king of the grounding signs here, the King of Pentacles. So really making time to sort of ground yourself is going to be important. And that even falls in with what we saw with health. I do see improvements in health and money for those of you that are single and happy. A move is still something that many of you might be looking to do. All right, that's the relationship outlook. Now let's take a look at your overall trajectory. And what I like about this is it kind of connects to what we were talking about with the evergreen. I talked about you thriving when others aren't. I can't think of a better example than like the desert. And trust in the divine plan. I would also say you co-create with the divine. So we are not beholden to just what God and the universe's plan are for us, the divine's plan. We are active co-creators. So I would add to this, I would say, not just trust that there's a divine plan, but I would say, and ... be a co-creator within that. So own your power. That's part of this whole topic today that we're looking at for you. And there might be this little period where there's some loss or discomfort, but you're headed towards, let's imagine, an oasis on the other side. And I did see that. So 2 to 3 months of growth and change. And then again, as we start to get closer to particularly, like I would say, March, April, around Easter time, that's when I started to see things really take off in an exciting way for you. Okay. Thank you so much, by the way, Stella. And thanks to everybody that's been giving back. I'll say a little bit more at the end, but that caught my eye. I appreciate it. All right. So we're going to move on to the expanded forecast. Actually, not the expanded forecast, but we're going to look at blessings and blocks next. Blessings, of course, are the things that we're looking forward to that are bringing us more abundance, more joy. So we'll start with that. And let's see what you can do to really make the most out of the next month. These forecasts go about 6 to 8 weeks. So you have plenty of time to really embrace the energy of the month ahead. Okay, so your blessing has to do with fulfillment and just beautiful energy. This is actually really not a nice 9 of Cups here. It's overflowing. So a lot of times with the 9 of Cups, there's this extreme high, extreme low. But what we're seeing here is you may not realize how finally things are starting to come to fruition. I see this nice domino effect or overflowing effect where you may be overwhelmed by all that is being presented to you. So I want you to be open to a very happy an unexpected blessing that almost could make you weepy. Because when this card is reversed, it can be tears of joy, and that's kind of what I'm picking up on. There's a little bit of tears, but I think sometimes we need to have that connection, and we have to have that release. So first and foremost, allow yourself to be emotionally vulnerable. It feels like you need that because of the transitional energy that we're seeing with the 10 of Swords and the 3 of Swords. Everything else being very, very light, but sometimes change is difficult. Change, loss, and movement can be difficult. So cry some tears. I think some of these are happy tears. And as you get through that, you're going to see, wow, I didn't realize that this was possible. I had to move through that to see what was right in front of me. So I think it's tears of joy and also tears of recognition. And it's okay. It's not always fun to kind of go through that stuff, but I think sometimes it's very necessary. One thing that I would say for you is to make time to celebrate, because the 9 of Cups is very much about living in the moment, experiencing that joy, having fun. So everything in moderation, but if you have been in this sort of like desert for a while and something good happens, really express gratitude and say, thank you so much. Even just thank you so much for helping me get through today. But if there's something great that happened, really take a moment to celebrate the work you did, and then also thank your guides and the universe for opening that up. So I just feel like you need to open up your heart space and let things flow through a little bit more, because there's a lot that wants to come through. Once you open up, you're going to find that it just feels a lot better. So there you go. All right, let's see what might be blocking you right now. So now we have the 4 of Cups, which is perspective. Lots of cups coming through, lots of interesting sort of different ways to look at things. So the 4 of Cups is often a card where you think the grass may be greener, but it isn't. There might be a hidden blessing right in front of you, but because of your limitations that you put on yourself, you may not be able to see it. So keep a really open mind to everything that comes in front of you. And what I like about all of these cups, they're more traditional pip type style of these, but you can see that it's all about, you're not isolated. When you have a lot of cups, you see the sort of flow of energy. It trickles from one to another. So you definitely have this potential to kind of broaden your horizons or reach out for something, but I think that for some reason you're limiting yourself. So give humor this sort of the imaginary side of yourself, or the one that's sort of thinking of the fantasy stuff that would come through with the High Priestess. So what if ... or gosh, it would be nice if, or my dream job, my dream date, my dream day would look like this. Do more of that, and then look around and see if there's a sign or symbol that is manifesting from that, because the fact that the High Priestess is here tells me that, and also the King of Pentacles tells me that it's your divine right and divine moment to actually step into this right now. Okay. All right, let's go into a viewer poll and see if you have some questions here that, I'm going to give you a chance to answer some of the questions here that I pose out here. So as we look at these cards, some things that I'm wondering as I'm looking at this. Let me just get the poll started. So by the way, give me a minute to type everything, and then if you're watching live, you get a chance to ask a question. All right, so viewer poll, viewer's choice, I should say. And the first thing that I'm looking at here is kind of dealing with the transitional energy of the 10 of Swords and the 3 of Swords and the Hanged Man. I don't avoid the difficult stuff. I'll go right into it. So how to navigate through either we could say through pain / disappointment. Just put pain. So if you have any questions about that, I'll look at that. The next one that I want to look at is the attractive energy of the Lovers. So how to use the spotlight. And I'm going to put Lovers here. It could also be the 6 of Wands, which I was picking up on, but the Lovers is what manifested here in the cards. And then as we're looking at some of the stuff that I just pulled for blessings and blocks, I think tapping into your creativity or tapping into your emotions. Emotions are playing a big part in this, but I'm going to put like using emotions for inspiration, kind of like tapping into it. I'll just put tapping into emotions. Last thing, because there is one more, it's moving I'm going to do the last one as mine. I'll do it as a reader's choice while we're doing it. I'm going to look at moving or moving on. So here you go. How to navigate through pain, how to use the spotlight, or tapping into your emotions for your better good. So that's your choice. And let's take a look at the moving piece, the 10 of Wands. What is it that you should be really focusing on at this point in time to kind of like embrace a new opportunity on the horizon? To move or to move on? What's the question around that? So you and only you can decide this. We have the Two of Swords, and it does say decisions. The only thing that holds us back sometimes with the Two of Swords is that feeling of, well, what about this and what about that? And at some point, you only have so much information in front of you, and you have to trust this and this. So do your homework, pull a card or two if you want to, but at the end of the day, it's also going to be your third eye and your heart. It will rarely lead you astray. The only thing that's going to hold you back is indecision or inaction overall. So my advice for you is to think about it, give it a day or two, and then take some action. You can always course correct. You can always adjust. You can always kind of like tweak it. But if you don't do something, then windows of opportunity start to close, right? All right, let's go into the option that you chose, which I like already, which is how to embrace the energy of the Lovers. So whether you, by 43%, you guys chose that. So looking at the Lovers, how can you kind of step into the spotlight or use this platform? Or if you are kind of put into the mix with someone and you're interested, what are you going to do with that energy, this newfound attention? Okay, it's fantastic. We have the Six of Pentacles. I like this one. I actually prefer this one a little bit over the Seven of Pentacles because it carries with it the energy of discernment. So for some of you, it's been difficult to say no to something. And you may feel guilty for saying yes to something. And I think the most important thing that you can really decide is like, what is it, again, that I'm trying to do? And how, you have to be realistic with how much time and energy you have. When you are a little bit more picky, when you are a little bit more careful over something, all of a sudden you're going to discover that you can do more with less, or you can make more of an impact by focusing on just one or two things. So the Lovers card with this, if I combine the two, I would say some of you may have a lot of people coming toward you and asking for something. You can't make everybody happy. So if you've done a really good job and people are thinking, wow, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, or do you have time to hang out tonight? It's okay to say no to some of these things. I also want you to reach a little bit, because even in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith one, you would see people reaching for that, for the coins. You may actually not be the person holding the scales or the coins, but you might be the one that gets to receive it. Not everyone will, but if you don't ask and you don't try, you won't know. The fact that you have the Lovers tells me that you're more in a position to receive this month. So even if in the past you had been like with the 10 of Swords and 3 of Swords, people said no or not yet, this is your moment to be the lucky one that actually receives one of those opportunities, one of those Ace of Pentacles. So I feel like the biggest and the most important message that I could give you right now is to not be afraid to try again, because ultimately 8 of Cups comes through saying you can get it, right? You can do it this time. Second chances. You have a second chance, and your energy is very attractive this month, so it's worth trying. For the rest of you, you may be in high demand, or you might be trying to get someone in high demand, but I still feel like because of the Lovers and the Six of Pentacles, balance is almost inevitable. It's going to come through. Okay. So that's great, actually. Let me just pull, I forgot to do this for the general spread. Let's just pull a big idea card and see if there's something that you need to kind of just focus on overall for the month. And then we'll get into the meditation and the final card. So the big idea is sort of like, just like that catalyst. I want to see, like, this is your North Star. Where can you go? Where can you go to next? Maybe I'll even call that in future readings because it's a cool thing. So let's look at the North Star, or the big idea. What is it you want to look at? So this is why I'm not worried about your opportunities or your ability to possibly get some like a second chance at something. The 3 of Cups is very auspicious for you. It is a celebration. It is incoming love or opportunity. It is a chance for people to be talking about you. So as I said earlier, lean into the positive energy that the spotlight is bringing through this month, and give something to these people to talk about, like that's positive or reinforcing. So it's not always bad to have that. And you have a chance to make new friends this month too. So we're breaking away from an old connection that I felt was a little bit heavy or perhaps codependent, and then moving toward a new connection that is a lot more open, is a lot less restrictive, is a lot more exciting for you. So looks pretty good, actually, right? I'm feeling good about the month ahead for you. I hope you are too. Let's move into the final part of this reading. We're going to meditate, and then I'll look at a final card for you. Let's talk first about how the final card functions. Since I don't take questions live, what I ask you to do at the very end is to focus on a question that you have. Maybe something that you wouldn't even want to put in chat. So something that you're really trying to work on. It could be something personal. And I'll read the energy around that just like I would anything else here. So we'll meditate first to really kind of align ourselves and allow me to connect with all of that. And then I'll read that card. One last note before we do that. If you would like to help the channel continue to grow and so I can do more videos, please hit the thumbs up. We're roughly at halfway on that. So if you haven't done it before, hit it once. And if you're a longtime viewer, but you've never subscribed, consider doing that. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps me reach more people ultimately. So you can help me grow and it doesn't cost anything. If you'd like to give back and join, you can become a channel member through the same place that you would give a super chat. And membership allows you to take part in special polls, Q&A. You get to vote twice on most things. So feel free to join if you'd like to. All right, let's go ahead now and meditate. I'm going to give you a choice while I'm getting set up here and setting the scene for the meditation, if you'd like me to use the singing bowl or the pyramid. So what instrument would you like? And I'll show you what they look like, the crystal pyramid or the singing bowl. And you can vote on it. All right, so there you go. And if you've never seen it, the pyramid looks like this, and it kind of sounds like a wind chime. And most of you have seen the singing bowl if you've been watching me for a while, but in case you haven't, the singing bowl is this, and it's attuned to the pineal gland. So either one of these is fine by me. We'll see which ones you choose. And it looks like, wow, is it really 100% the singing bowl? That's interesting. Okay. So I'll give you like one more moment here to vote, and I think I'm just going to get set up here. All right, we have crystal pyramid by 46%. Singing bowl. All right, singing bowl it is. All right, everyone, thank you so much. All right, so let me go ahead and get the singing bowl set up. And for today's meditation, I want you to imagine that you're at the top of that mountain or a hill if you're afraid of heights. Just imagine that you're kind of at a vista where you can see the distance. You can see everything from a different point of view. Close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath. On the exhale, I want you to relax your shoulders, neck, and back, but keep some of that height that you gained as you sort of stretched up, just like the pine tree. I want you to imagine that you're sitting a little bit taller. It feels good in the back, too, to kind of stretch a little bit. And imagine that you can see any season of the year that you would like. If you want to imagine that it's spring, that's fine by me, because I saw a lot of the growth happening in that period anyway. So imagine that the sun is shining down. You can hear the birds singing in the background. You can smell the sweet fragrance of the flowers, and possibly if you want to integrate the totem from today, you can smell that sort of vanilla and butterscotch scent of the pine, the Ponderosa pine. Lean against that ancient pine tree. Imagine that you are leaning against one of the older ones. It's maybe like 500 or 600 years old. And as you lean against it, there's this feeling of safety and reassurance. Surely if this tree was able to make it through several centuries, 7 or 8 lifetimes of a human being, you're going to be able to navigate through any of the challenges in the road ahead without problem. Looking at how far you've come, looking over your shoulder, and then looking at where you want to go to next, I want you to feel this sense of just great accomplishment. It took a while to get wherever you are right now in your journey. And look at what's in front of you. Look at the glittering lights, the city, whatever sort of things that might entice you to take that next path in front of you. And start to build some excitement and some internal vision of what it's going to be like to be there. And when you're ready, we're very much at a nexus today. So if there's anyone or anything that has been holding you back, imagine here that at there could even be 2 pine trees that are kind of creating this archway that you're going to walk through. you're squarely 1 foot in, 1 foot out, just like Temperance right now. So I want you to look over your shoulder and say goodbye to whatever it is that you need to let go of. It could be a person, it could be something that you were comfortable having in your life, but it no longer really suits you. And as you look through the portal, as you feel the energy, there's almost this sense of freedom, like you're on a roller coaster, that your heart and your almost all your insides are a little bit higher. You feel this sense of joy, butterflies if you would like to. And if that feels good for you, if you like butterflies around you, you could even imagine that they start to kind of land on your body and all around you. And as they start to fly, they lift you up and pull you through the portal so that you don't even feel like you have to take that step. You're being led into the portal. So with that transformative energy of the butterflies, moving from the past into the future, I want you to just feel this sense of possibility. Close your eyes, allow the singing bowl to transform you, and also allow you to just sort of be in this new energy space. Okay, nice deep breath, close your eyes, and allow the healing to begin. Take a final deep breath. On the exhale, I want you to feel this sense of movement, internal movement. Everything starts with a thought within. If we can just change our mind, if we can just change our perspective, we can allow ourselves to move further than we ever imagined. See yourself now no longer at the top of the mountain, but moving now towards the next goal, the next journey, and having this sense of almost like wind beneath your sails, these butterflies lightening the load, allowing you to feel like it's just a little bit easier. It's just a little bit closer. All you had to do was try. All you had to do was shift your perspective. All right, let's take a look at your final question that you might have for me. If you wrote it down, you can take a look at that piece of paper. If you didn't, just think of a question that I haven't answered yet and think it out. Think it out loud. You don't have to type it. Let's tune into what's coming through. So we have the Princess of Discs, which is basically a page of discs or a page of pentacles. But I really love the caption on that, which says manifestation. And you already had the High Priestess energy coming through, which we had right here in the recent past. So to me, this is very good. So if there was a yes, no, this is a yes. This has to do with an exchange of resources as well. So some of you may be right at this precipice of wanting to, again, achieve something, purchase something. There may be someone asking you for something. It can also indicate someone asking you for money. And again, you can discern if you want to give that, but I see an exchange of resources that is on the precipice here. Pages are very open though. I see it as good news for many of you. So incoming opportunities around more money, more resources, and more growth. And ultimately, finding what you need, because it does say manifestation. So if you've been trying to manifest or create something, this is a definite yes, and you want to just keep moving toward that path. Ultimately, nothing negative with this because the card was upright. And even if you find like you need money or you need opportunity or you need resources, it feels like you're going to be able to figure out where to get that, even if it isn't in your, sort of, if you don't have it, you'll find it elsewhere. So we see an increase in resources. We see an exchange of goods and services. We see a new opportunity. We see someone that wants to invest in you. When I'm looking at the Lover's card, this could also be someone that wants to get to know you a little bit better too. So ultimately some pretty good stuff for you. The main thing for you, Aries, is it does feel like there's some internal and emotional healing that has to take place. And there may be a move that needs to happen too in order to kind of facilitate or bring all of this into fruition. Okay. Thank you so much for today's reading, for being present, for sharing your time and energy with me. I'd love for you to check out yesterday's reading if you haven't had a chance. The collective Sunday readings always have a 7-day forecast. I also have information for all the different signs and broken down by element. So check it out. It's pinned to the top of my channel if you're interested. I'll be live on Thursday when I read for Taurus. I'll also be live on Friday when I do a special celebration reading, which will probably be a combination. It'll be like a mini collective where I'm going to do a topic, but then I'm also going to answer questions that everybody here has asked me through the member through the community and member post on that tab. So I will, more to come. Keep an eye on the community tab and on social media. I'll keep you guys posted. Let me kind of wrap up just by saying thank you. Before I do that, if you do want to follow me on social media, I think I forgot to post the link because I was so kind of like gung-ho and ready for this. So let me post the link right now. Usually I put that at the beginning, but here's the way to contact me on my website, social media, connect with me, I should say. I'm pretty much at Nicholas Ashbaugh on all social media platforms except Twitter, which is at @Ashbaugh. If you want to show thanks or gratitude and you watch this on replay, you can also do that. It's right by the share icon. And if you're still live, you can give back through the super chat. All right, so let me just say thanks to everybody that joined the channel or gave back a little bit today. I wouldn't be able to do all this without you. All right, so give me a second here, and I'll welcome the new folks here. So let me go ahead here and just click into memberships. So to the new members, there were a bunch that joined yesterday, and I'm not going to read through all of those because I think I did say all of those before. It looks like the two newest ones, and they both have rejoined, are Erica Bland and Channery. Thank you so much for joining or rejoining in this particular sense. And I'll kind of try to scan through and see if I missed anybody that's new. Let's see, were there any new members that popped into the channel here? I don't think so. All right, so thank you so much to those folks that rejoined. And then for everybody that gave back through a super sticker or super chat, I'm going to say thank you right now. All right, so starting off with Touche B, thank you so much and welcome to being a new channel member. I noticed that you joined, so I appreciate that. You always show up and it's great to have you here. Emma Sharp, thank you. Amy Hampton, Sherry, Cindy Toshik, Stella Morris. Big thank you to Stella Morris for that $50 contribution. I appreciate it. Plus you gave another $5, so thank you so much. Popcorn, Crystal Azure, and Joanna. Thank you very, very, very much. And again, I will be posting my schedule a little bit later today, but I gave you a preview there of the next few days. And of course, I'll be live next Sunday. So in the meantime, lots of love and light. Welcome to a new month. Thank you for helping me kick it off. It's always an honor and a pleasure to do so with your sign. And wish you the best, okay? Thanks again to Maria Margarita for her help in moderating and for all of you for showing up and working on yourselves. All right, have a great day. And Stella, you're a rock star. I can't believe it. Thank you so much for 111 there at the end. I very much appreciate it, okay? Lots of love and light to everybody. Have a great week and great month ahead. All right, bye-bye.